love the channel and find it useful in becoming a happy retiree. Subscribe today. Jeff, good morning. Welcome to Money Matters. What's going on?
Yeah, hey there. So, Wes, I've listened to your show, every so often, and I really enjoy it. I feel like I've been doing the right things, saving over the years. And, I've amassed over, literally 1.3 million in, IRAs, and I feel pretty good about that. But on the flip side, you're always talking about investing and what to do with the money. But what happens now, I just face it a job loss, a consolidation. So I'm looking at, what do I do on what suggestions you might have when life turns on you, right? And I might have to access maybe IRA funds or whatever. I just want to see if you have any general suggestions or things to think about.
Got it. And so let me ask you this. So you're, again, how old are you, Jeff?
52.
So 52, and you've saved, let's call it over $1 million, and almost all of that money is 401k IRA?
It's, probably, like 100K outside. But
Got it.
1.3. Yeah, you always think about retiring one day, right?
Right.
And I always hear about your 4% rule, things like that, right? So I just want to see if you had any general comments when.
Yeah, I think
there happens to people.
Yeah, there's a couple of really important pieces of the equation here. Is that's a lot of money, right? So you've got plenty of money and probably ahead of schedule for your age. If you're looking to retire at a 62, 65, let's call that normal retirement ages to young. To even sooner. So retiring, anything under 66 to me is early. You get into your lower 60s, I think that's very early. And then you go into your 50s, which I've had lots of folks over the years now come to me at 55 and say, Wes, I'm ready. I've hit the benchmarks. I'm ready to go. Then you're in super early retirement, and it poses its own set of variables. And you're potentially in that category because technically you're not allowed to touch your IRA money until you're 59 and a half, right? So you've got, according to the rules of access, you got like another 7 years to get until you can even get to the 401k money without paying a big penalty. So you get into a scenario where there are a couple of thoughts. Number one, if you really need to access the money, there are some ways to get to this. Now, you're still even too young for the age 55 rule. So for 55 and your money's in a 401k, the relatively new, not brand new, but relatively new ERISA rules will allow you to get to your 401k money at age 55 if you leave employment at that particular company at 55. You have to have turned 55. And if you leave it in the 401k, not an IRA, 401k, you can access that money without a penalty. However, you're still even too young for that rule. So there's another rule. It's the rule of substantially equal payments. The rule of we call it the substantially equal payment rule. You're allowed to access your money before age 59. However, you've got to do it on a schedule. And stick to that schedule. And if you break that schedule, then you end up, if you break the schedule, it gets disallowed, and then you do end up having to pay taxes. Do you think, so you're only 52, Jeff, do you think you'll be able to find something in the next 6 months to a year work-wise, or do you think it's going to be tough to do that?
No, I definitely believe I will, but, I also wanted to see, what other options there might be, right? And so I've heard of and just like you said, how do you avoid potentially not paying the 10% on an IRA withdrawals? And I think I heard, what you were mentioning previously. Just wanted to understand a little bit more how that works.
Right. So again, you can do that. I would say the only way the rule allows you from a exemption perspective, you can access the IRA before 60. But you've got to be able to, you have to take that money out every single year. So if you were to look at a guide, it'll probably, the way the math works, you have to take around 4% out. So on, let's say $1 million, you'd have to pull $40,000 out of that IRA and do that every single year until you get to that age where the 59 and a half year age, or 5 years, whichever is longer. So in this case, you'd have to do it for 7 years. So you'd really drain your IRA if you did that. So I think you're too early to do that. Usually when I see this rule work, if you're 55, 56, and let's say you're closer to retirement, you're almost too young to even mess with that rule. So what I would do is I would say, first of all, I would just try to figure out when you think you're going to go back to work. I mean, even if it's going to take a year to get another job with similar pay, I think you're almost better off using some of that after-tax money, right? That $100,000 that's not in an IRA, that's what you're going to have to live on for now. You could always replenish that at another point, Jeff. So you could always, when you get a new job, because you've drained that after-tax money, you could always replenish it by not saving as much for a couple of years in the 401k. Hi, I'm Wes Moss, and thanks for taking a minute to hear about what's so different about my new book, You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think. So unlike other retirement books, this book will give you a step-by-step guide, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, to learn from what these successful and happy retirees did to get there. I hope you enjoy the book, but more importantly, I know that it'll help you retire sooner than you think.